I never imagined that David Goggins' words could change my life forever. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The air felt heavy, I could almost taste the despair. My heartbeat thundered in my ears as I stared at the eviction notice taped to the door. It was a betrayal, a punch in the gut. My hands trembled, a lump lodged in my throat. How had I let it come to this? Every moment blurred together. My mom's fragile frame haunted me, her constant worry etched deep in her furrowed brow. She'd sacrifice anything for me, though I felt like a burden. I could hear her quiet sobs. They pierced the silence of our once happy home. I longed to fix everything, to tell her it would be okay, but the truth was, I was crumbling. And then there was Jake. My best friend since childhood. He had always been my anchor, my cheerleader, but even his bright smile felt like a distant memory now. Don't worry, we'll figure it out, he had said, the worry hidden behind his confident facade. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to escape this suffocating reality. One evening, while scrolling mindlessly through my phone, I stumbled upon a video of David Goggins. His voice boomed with raw intensity, slicing through my fog of hopelessness. Pain is just a part of the process. He shouted, his eyes fierce, as if daring anyone to challenge him. I sat up, mesmerized. Could someone really rise from the ashes of despair, just like that? His story ignited something deep within me, a flicker of hope in an otherwise dark room. The more I listened, the more I felt alive. I could visualize every word he spoke, every struggle he described. It was as if he was narrating my life. My despair morphed into a challenge. If he could conquer his demons, then maybe, just maybe, I could too. I stuffed my phone in my pocket, heart racing. Could I turn this moment into something? Could his words really drive me to change? Suddenly, the walls that had closed in on me felt slightly less suffocating. I needed to act, to fight back. But where to start? The clock ticked ominously as doubts crept back in. What if it was too late? What if I still didn't have what it takes? Would my broken pieces even fit together? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference, let's connect. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the tattered curtains, casting striped shadows across the living room floor. It felt different somehow, as if it had been touched by the very words that ignited a flicker of hope within me. My heart surged with a newfound determination. I could no longer sit back and watch everything slip away. Today would be the day I took a step toward change. That I dressed in my oldest sweatpants and a faded t-shirt, signs of my indecisiveness hanging from my shoulders. As I stared in the mirror, trying to muster confidence, I heard the familiar sound of my mother moving around in the kitchen. The clatter of pots echoed through the silence, a symphony of routine that made my heart ache. I tiptoed to the kitchen doorway and watched her, shoulders hunched, preparing breakfast as if the world hadn't come crashing down around us. "Morning, Mom," I said softly, hoping to hide the tremor in my voice. "Good morning, sweetheart," she replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Just making some toast. Do you want any?" I shook my head, feeling the weight of our situation settle between us. I didn't know how to comfort her, didn't know what to say. Instead, I grabbed an apple from the counter and left, the bitter taste of dread still lingering as I stepped outside. The fresh air hit my lungs like a jolt. I needed to clear my mind, to breathe in every ounce of potential this new day had to offer. I walked aimlessly, my feet leading me to a nearby park. It was here I often played with Jake as a kid, the memories of laughter mingling with the sense of impending doom that overwhelmed me now. As I sat on a swing, I closed my eyes, envisioning David Goggins racing against his demons. I visualized him pushing through the pain, the sweat pouring as he confronted the impossible. Suddenly, a voice broke through my thoughts. "Hey, are you okay?" I opened my eyes to find a girl about my age standing before me, concern etched on her face. "You look a little lost," she said, her hair cascading in wild curls, catching the light that I took a moment to gather myself. "Just thinking," I replied, my facade cracking. She tilted her head, her expression softening. "You look like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. Want to talk about it?" I surprised myself at the invitation, feeling a lump rise. "I don't even know where to start," she nodded as if she understood, glancing at the swings beside me. "I felt like that not long ago. You know, things can get really messy sometimes. But believe it or not, speaking about it can actually help. My heart ached with the sheer kindness emanating from a stranger. "What did you do?" "I found a running club," she mentioned, her eyes sparkling with a sense of belonging. "Meeting new people. It feels good to not be alone in your struggles." Maybe that was it. Meeting others who felt the same would offer a glimmer of companionship in my spiraling loneliness. "I might give it a try," I replied, the thought blooming within me. Just as we were in the midst of an easy conversation, Jake emerged, his familiar grin lighting up his face. "There's my best friend," he shouted, jogging over, his presence a welcome comfort. As I introduced him to the girl, whom I learned was named Maya, I noticed the shift in energy. Jake had an infectious enthusiasm that often masked his own burdens. "We should all hang out sometime," he suggested, a spark in his eyes. "Absolutely," Maya agreed, radiating warmth. "I could use more friends." As we laughed and made plans for a future get-together, I felt a sudden surge of emotion. Maybe things were beginning to change, like roots taking hold, slowly but surely. But just as I allowed myself to feel this flicker of hope, my phone buzzed in my pocket, shattering the moment. Staring at the screen, my heart plummeted. It was a message from the landlord, a reminder of the rent due and an ominous threat of further consequences. The reality surged back in waves, like an icy tide pulling me under. "Hey, are you okay?" Jake's voice broke through my haze. I forced a smile, but I didn't want to talk about it, not now. I wanted to focus on the spark of kindness from a stranger, the joy of reconnecting with Jake. I cautiously tucked the phone back in my pocket, pretending for a second that the world outside those park gates didn't exist, but anxiety curled tightly around my heart like a vine, reminding me of the storm brewing just outside our little haven. As laughter filled the air, I couldn't shake the weight of the looming deadline. I needed to figure out how to confront the uphill battle ahead, but how could I do that when I was still trying to find my footing? The sweetness of connection was a fleeting balm, and at that moment, it felt impossibly fragile. I locked eyes with Maya, searching for strength, grounding myself in this newfound friendship. Suddenly, I felt the emotional tide begin to pull back, allowing for a moment of calm before the inevitable wave returned, and just like that, a solitary thought clawed its way to the forefront of my mind. What if I didn't have the support I needed in this crucial moment? What if everything I had been building up was about to crumble again? The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting an orange glow across the park. The laughter of children playing seemed like a distant echo in my mind as I sat with Jake and Maya, their energy surrounding me like a warm blanket. But beneath the surface, an anxious hum thrummed, reminding me of the message I had received. Even in the midst of companionship, I could feel the ominous weight of reality bearing down, clamping down on my heart. Maya, noticing my distraction, gently poked my arm. "Hey, you're miles away. Earth to what's your name again?" Lucy," I said, stuttering out of my own fog. "Sorry, just lost in thought, you know," Jake chimed in, his voice bright but edged with concern. "It's okay to not be okay. If you're dealing with something, we're here for you." A swell of gratitude built within me, but along with it came the crushing pressure of what I was concealing. I wanted so desperately to share my burden, to let them in on the reality that loomed like a dark cloud over my head. But like moths drawn to flame, vulnerability had always scared me too much. Instead, I plastered on another smile, less sincere than the last. "I appreciate that. Just trying to figure some stuff out." The conversation shifted back to lighter topics, and for a while, I managed to push the weight aside. We spoke of dreams, of the future, and Maya's plans to travel once she saved enough money. But the deeper echoes of my life burrowed into my thoughts, hinting that this momentary distraction was not enough. A shadow lingered in a corner of happiness, reminding me that I stood at a precipice. As dusk wrapped its arms around us, we decided to head back, reluctant to part ways. I exchanged numbers with Maya, feeling a flicker of hope ignite once again as I realized I had people who wanted to be part of my journey. Jake walked me home, the cool evening air lending a sense of calm to our conversation. But once we stepped onto my street, humor shifted to concern. The old, crumbling building loomed ahead, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch out to block my way. "Listen, Lucy," Jake said, halting. "I don't want to pry, but if you're ever in a tough spot, just talk to me, okay?" No judgment here. That I wanted to believe him, wanted to lean into that beautiful offer of friendship and honesty. But as we stood there, fear wrapped around the crux of my heart. The impending chaos felt like a storm brewing that I couldn't escape. "It'll be okay. Just some family stuff, alright, but promise you'll reach out if you need something." "You're not alone," he said, a genuine concern flashing in his eyes. "Yeah. Promise," I replied weakly, unsure if I could keep that promise to myself. As I entered the building, the familiar scent of mildew and aged wood enveloped me. The walls felt thicker, the air heavier. I trudged up the flight of stairs to our apartment, each step slamming home the reminder of responsibilities I was grappling with. My mother sat at the table, her features lined with worry as she shuffled through a pile of bills. "Hey, sweetheart. How was your day?" she asked, not looking up. "It was good," I lied, feigning a smile. I set my backpack down and let out a trembling breath, the day's earlier relief evaporating like morning dew. I tried to distract her. "I met someone new at the park," I began, but the words stumbled out before I had fully processed the weight they carried. "Her name is Maya. She's really cool, and I think we might start hanging out." "Really?" My mother's voice was cautious, a tense thread weaving into her tone. "It's good to make new friends, Lucy. Just be careful." Her hesitance prickled my skin, igniting an uncomfortable awareness within me. The shadow of our situation was drawing nearer, pulling the people I cared about closer into the darkness. The thought terrified me: what if my struggles affected Maya too? Would compassion lead her to despair as it had at moments for my mom? To shake off the feeling, I offered her a weak smile. Then, stealing a glance at the kitchen table, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. The bills were sprawled out, pieces of a puzzle I was not ready to confront. "Mom, would you mind if I just went to my room for a bit? I have some thinking to do." "Of course," she said, her voice barely a whisper as she returned to her papers. As I ascended the steps, my feet echoed in the silence of our home, the sound unsettling and hollow. I shut my bedroom door and sank onto my bed, staring at the ceiling. My mind raced, clouds of anxiety swirling together, amplifying the uncertainty gnawing at the edges of my thoughts. Then, my phone buzzed again, slicing through the cacophony in my head. I hesitated before I picked it up, my heart fluttering with dread. The message appeared on the screen, dark and stark: "We need to talk about the rent. If not resolved soon, action will be taken." My breath caught in my throat, reality colliding with the slivers of hope I had barely managed to hold on to. My pulse quickened, and I was left awash in a wave of despair. It felt as if everything I had fought for was crumbling around me, and my previous resolve threatened to slip away entirely. Just before I could allow the darkness to swallow me, I thought of Maya's kind smile, Jake's encouragement, and the bonds beginning to form. But then I wondered, would my struggles taint these budding friendships? Would my burdens consume me whole, leaving nothing but despair in their wake? As tears slipped down my cheeks, I realized the questions that haunted me, very questions that threatened to take from me the small joys I had just begun to embrace, had only just begun. The hope I had felt earlier flickered inside of me like a dimly lit candle, fighting against an unseen wind. Yet as the shadows began to close in around me, one ominous thought struck hard and true: what if I couldn't fight back this time? The air felt thick with uncertainty as I wiped my cheeks, trying to catch my breath. I had fought to take one small step toward happiness, a fleeting moment of connection at the park with Maya and Jake, only to be thrust back into the all-consuming chaos of my reality. Days passed, and I struggled to keep the cracks from showing. I plastered on a smile during the rare encounters with my mother, who appeared more frazzled each day as unopened bills piled up, taunting us from the table. Each meal was quiet, punctuated only by the sound of forks scraping against plates, a stark contrast to the lively conversations I had shared with Jake and Maya. Still, I clung to their kindness like a lifeline. Maya texted often, sharing funny memes and snippets of her day that somehow lightened the load on my shoulders, if only momentarily. One evening, she invited me to join her and Jake for the community's open mic night at a local cafe. "Come on, Lucy. It'll be fun," her message read, overflowing with enthusiasm that was hard to resist. I could picture her beaming face, the contagious spark in her voice echoing through the screen. Yet, beneath that spark lurked a gnawing uncertainty. I rehearsed excuses in my mind as I glanced again at the bills on the table, the financial pressure compressing my chest like a vice. I wanted to break free, feel that gust of laughter and music fill my lungs, but the fear of judgment, of dragging them into my mess, held me back. But that determined spark in Maya's text stung me. Why should I let my problems isolate me? Maybe seeing their support in person could help. I took a deep breath, typing out a response, "Okay, I'll go. Just to hang out." Arriving at the cafe felt surreal, the warm lights casting a golden glow that countered my internal darkness. I spotted Jake first, leaning casually against the bar, his gentle laughter mingling with the chatter around him. And there was Maya, her eyes alight, bouncing on her toes in anticipation. "Lucy! You made it!" she exclaimed, rushing over to pull me into a tight embrace. For the first time in days, I felt the knot in my stomach loosen slightly, and I matched her infectious smile with one of my own, managing to push aside the storm brewing within. As the night unfolded, I was enveloped in the camaraderie of their laughter and the melody of local talent. Creatives braved the stage, sharing poetry, songs, and stories that resonated with everyone present. Each artist bared their soul, gripping the microphone tightly, and I found solace in their vulnerability, a reflection of my own that I desperately needed to confront. Yet, my heart sank as the clock ticked closer to the moment I knew would come. The heavy weight of reality threatened to crash down on me once more. When the crowd clapped and cheered, I felt their energy, but beneath it was a haunting awareness that my life was still waiting in the shadows, unresolved. Then, Maya nudged me, her voice bubbling with excitement. "You should go up next, Lucy. You've got a story, I know it." A rush of panic crashed over me. No, I couldn't. Not me. I laughed, the unease bubbling over into nervousness. "Oh, come on. This is the place to let it out." Jake chimed in, and I could see genuine encouragement in his eyes. Everyone around me buzzed with enthusiasm, coaxing me further away from the safe confines of my insecurities. Just a few words, even. I looked back at the stage, practically housing the weight of crumpled dreams and fears I had kept hidden. My heart raced, and for a fleeting moment, I caught a glimpse of what it might feel like to share the burden I carried so dearly. Maya's gentle nudge urged me toward the front, and before I realized what was happening, I found myself wandering closer, the stage lights illuminating my dread. "Okay, just a few words," I muttered to myself, my voice barely above a whisper. The moment was electric, my palms slick with sweat, but I took a breath, spurred on by their belief. I reached the microphone, the familiarity of its cold metal striking a chord in my heart. The room hushed, eyes turning toward me. And the rest of the world faded away. What could I say? As the words began to spill out, vulnerability tethering itself to courage, a ripple of warmth enveloped me. I shared fleeting bits of my story, not the whole truth, but just enough to connect. The laughter, the warmth, so many memories pressing at the edges, longing to break free. Hope surged in me, and so did a new fear. Would they still see me if they knew the real struggles underneath? The applause spun around me like warm arms as I stepped back, heart pounding but alive. I scanned the room, my gaze landing on Jake and Maya, worry and pride mingling in their expressions. But just as I began to feel a sense of triumph, empowered by my small moment of courage, my phone buzzed in the pocket of my jeans. A frantic vibration that cut through to the essence of my newfound hope. Pulling it out, my expression fell as the screen lit up, and the breath caught in my throat. "Lucy, we need you to come home. The landlord is here." Time froze, that single message crashing into me with the force of a freight train. The buzz of the cafe melted into silence, a cold chill wrapping around me. How could I face my truth now, on the precipice of something beautiful? As the weight of despair settled back upon my shoulders, I turned my eyes toward Jake and Maya, my heart pounding with fear, longing for support that suddenly felt like it was slipping out of reach. What would they think if they knew? Guilt twisted inside me, leaving an ache where courage had just bloomed. Would this be the moment everything changed, the sweet release of laughter forgotten in the cold grip of reality? And would this be the secret that set me apart forever? The cafe spun around me, colors blurring into a whirlwind as panic set in. The laughter and music faded, drowned out by the rapid beating of my heart. Holding the phone, I felt its weight pressing down like a physical force. Reality beckoned louder than the chorus of cheers and applause, reminding me of the tangled mess I had carefully tucked away. "Lucy. Are you okay?" Maya's concerned voice cut through my haze. I glanced up to see her eyes flaring with worry, her earlier excitement transformed into genuine concern that I forced a smile, a mask to deflect her worry, but it cracked at the edges. "Yeah, I'm fine. I just forgot something." The words came out shaky and hollow. Jake stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear, an innocent gesture that sent an irrational wave of comfort through me. "You sure? You were amazing up there." His genuine pride reignited the flicker of courage I had felt moments before that I wanted to say something that would keep this moment alive, something deep and profound, but as reality loomed nearer, my mind raced with the implications of my mother's message. I could almost visualize the landlord standing at our door, suitcase in hand, ready to strike the final blow against our already precarious situation. I couldn't drag my friends into this. Not now. "Listen," I said slowly, taking a breath to steady myself, "I think I should go home. My mom needs me." Maya's face fell, confusion clouding her features. "But the night is just starting. Are you sure you don't want to stick around?" "We can. I'll call you," I interrupted, feeling the air thicken with my urgency. "Rain check, okay." I left the cafe as quickly as I could manage without drawing attention. Each step back toward reality felt heavier, each heartbeat a reminder of the life I couldn't escape. I hugged my jacket tighter around myself, allowing the crisp evening air to bite at my cheeks, hoping it would help awaken my fading sense of hope. When I reached home, the door greeted me with an uncanny silence. It felt wrong, unsettling. I stepped inside to find the lights dimmed, the living room shadowed. My mother sat on the couch, her eyes glued to the floor, surrounded by bills that had begun to multiply like a swarm threatening to swallow us whole. "Lucy," she said, barely looking up, her voice broken and frail, "the landlord said we have until tomorrow to pay what we owe." The world within those four walls shrank, trapping me in despair. "Mom, let's just talk to him. We can explain," I sputtered, desperately reaching for threads of hope and sanity. She shook her head. "It's not that simple. We've pushed him too far. I don't know what to do anymore." Her voice trembled, a mixture of fear and defeat that echoed within my own heart. In that moment, I could feel the remnants of courage dissipating like morning mist under a harsh sun. I opened my mouth to reassure her, to promise that we would find a way together, but the weight of my own unshared burdens pulled me back, silencing my voice. Suddenly, the phone buzzed again in my pocket, this time with an unknown number. I hesitated, my breath hitching in my throat before answering, uncertain if I was seeking additional stress or something unexpected. "Hello?" I said tentatively, hoping for a shred of good news. "Is this Lucy Bennett?" The voice on the other end was gravelly, a stark contrast to my own disappointment. "Yes, it is, Lucy. This is Victor from the community center. Your application for the grant has been approved." I blinked in bewilderment, my heart hammering at the sudden shift in fate. "What? Are you serious? Yes, it comes with a financial aid package. I can send you the details by email, but I just wanted to call personally to let you know that I felt like I was standing at the precipice of a mountain, the view before me both breathtaking and terrifying. Hope flickered, battling the tide of doubt threatening to drown it. Wait, how much help are we talking about? Enough to get you on your feet for the next few months, given your situation. You'll need to meet with me tomorrow to go over the details, but it's a lifeline, Lucy. Tears formed in my eyes, a volatile mixture of despair and renewed hope crashing together. Just as I was about to respond, a loud knock thudded at the door, an ominous reminder that I wasn't free yet, that I could still lose everything. Then my pulse quickened, dread creeping back in. Thank you. I need to go, I stammered, disconnecting the call, shoving my phone into my pocket. The door shook with another loud strike, and I turned to my mother. Her expression shifted from despair to confusion. What's that? I don't know, I whispered, crossing the room cautiously. As I pressed my ear against the door, a chilling realization flooded through me. I felt an unexpected flicker of hope, the possibility of change, but now it was dangerously balanced on a knife's edge. Outside, the world loomed threateningly, and with a nod of determination, I braced myself. Mom, stay back, I said, the certainty of an impending confrontation melting my resolve. With a deep breath, I turned the handle and swung the door open. There, waiting in the dim light, stood the landlord, his face hard, a storm brewing in his eyes. We need to talk, he said coldly, his voice dripping with authority, heavy and unyielding. In that moment, I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. Would I have the strength to face the challenges looming before me? Or would I be swallowed by the weight of my own silence as everything I had fought for began to slip away? The sight of the landlord sent a jolt of fear through me. His imposing figure loomed like a storm cloud, blocking out the fleeting rays of hope I had just grasped. I wanted to slam the door shut and retreat back into the safety of denial, but instead, I stood there, heart racing, the remnants of my courage sparking within me. Demar. Collins, I replied, trying to gather the pieces of my wavering confidence. We can talk, but please understand that we're trying our best. My mom's sick, and save it, he interrupted, his voice seething with impatience. I've heard it all before. The rent needs to be paid, or I swear I'll call the authorities. Each word sliced through me like a dagger. I stepped back instinctively, feeling my mother's fright behind me, the whisper of her despair echoing in my bones. We just need a little time, no more time. He pushed his way inside, the scent of stale cigarettes and anger filling the room. I'm here to do an eviction notice. If you don't have the money by the morning, you're out. Panic clawed at my throat, choking my ability to think clearly. The words eviction and out churned violently in my mind, threatening to pull me under. Please. Just wait. I have a meeting tomorrow about what? A grant or a fairy tale? His voice mocked me, and I felt something within me snap. Anger ignited, rising in place of the earlier fear. You think you can just bully us around? You've got no idea what we're going through. My mother's hand gripped my arm tightly, but the fire within me surged. I'm tired of being afraid. We're not backing down. Mr. Collins faltered for a moment, his expression revealing a slight crack in his hardened exterior, something almost human flickering in his eyes. You don't get it, do you? He said quietly, almost contemplatively. I have bills too. And people don't understand that I can't keep bending the rules for people who think they can't be touched. Then help us. The words came out before I could stop them, fueled by the realization that I might lose everything. Help us or let us figure it out. You don't have to be heartless. The landlord blinked, the moment heavy with tension. Had I crossed a line? But the weight of despair in the room gave me courage. His facade cracked just enough for me to see a different person beneath it, one who might feel, even just a little, that I am not running a charity. Lucy, he said, almost defensively. But his voice was softer, almost human. Then be a decent person for once. We don't need handouts, just a chance to breathe.